Okay, good evening and welcome to part one of a two-part masterclass, when to hire and how to afford Rockstar team members. My name is Lori Gisborne and I'm so glad that you decided to join us. We're starting a little bit early. I'm gonna make sure my phone's turned off. We're all set. This is an encore tonight of a class that I did last week, and I really want to give you as much value as I can in the time that we have. We've broken it into two parts, mostly because there's so much to cover. So if you found your way here, you're in the right place. And I'll go through kind of the first set of this class, which is really about the mindset and the things you need to be focused on to really know it's time for you to build your team, how to build it, and why this is one of those things that really gets people stuck. It doesn't have to be so hard. Um, I'll tell you a little bit about me, and then I'll invite you at the end of the class to jump on a call with me. I don't have any kind of offer here tonight for you for sale. This is strictly an education class that we created because I just have so many clients again and again really get stuck in this place. So I'm hoping that you find it valuable. And I tend to speak really quickly, so you want to get out a piece of paper and take some notes, and we will do our best to get a recording to you. We've been having all kinds of exciting technology things going on, but this is how it is. So you're here. If you're hearing this, you've made it, and I'm so glad to be with you. And we'll just kind of jump into what would bring you to this and how I can best support you tonight. So, a lot of us get into business because we really have a passion. We want to save the world with our service. We know that we can do it better than most people. And at the same time, this whole idea of scaling or building a team gets to be very intense for folks, right? It gets to be a little scary, a little intimidating. So I want to make sure that you feel supported here and don't feel like it's frustrating, that it's something that you can do that really provides you freedom instead of having you feel stuck in your business. And, you know, um, I'll tell you a little bit about our history and what I've done. I've owned 9 companies. I've sold 6 of them. So I've had a little bit of practice, more than the average bear when it comes to building teams. And having a team is what I found to be the greatest gift as a business owner, so that when you have life show up and things happen that you're not planning, you really are prepared. And this is a picture of my husband, Scott. And in April of this year, he had an emergency quadruple bypass. And if you and I are not friends on Facebook, or we haven't met or talked in a while, it's been a really tough year for our family emotionally, and it's been okay financially, luckily, because we had this Rockstar team. We had people that kind of jumped in and kept our clients cared for and kept our businesses going, so that we were able to just step back and really give him the time and the space to heal. The short version of the long story is that he has pretty severe heart disease. We didn't expect it. He's only 56, but we're grateful for the time that we have, and we're going to keep moving forward. And he really supports the work that I'm here to do, which is really to support all of you, because I can't live my mission if I don't actually help you guys get out there and do what you're doing, which is to use your business as a vehicle to create change, to create philanthropy. And I know you're here because you've been attracted to this work. You've been attracted to creating a greater impact with your work. And as we keep growing as a community, I know that the ripple effect of our work is huge. And you might have heard that before. I know when I first started hearing about this idea of the ripple effect, it was kind of a random concept to me, but I'm starting to really see it in our own community as we keep growing and scaling and reaching more leaders. Each of them are doing amazing work in the world, and I'm really honored and humbled to have the opportunity to be with you and to play with you. So I'm going to do my best to serve you tonight, and if there's any way that I can support you or help you, please don't hesitate to reach out. It always breaks my heart when I'm speaking to an audience and they say, like, gosh, Laura, someday when I'm ready, I'm going to work with you. I'm offering to speak with you and to help you in any way that I can. Like you, I've got a full life and a lot going on with my family and my business, but I know that together we can really create a difference in the world, and that's what keeps me going. So let's talk a little bit about, kind of what this is and what it's not. It's not about building your business so that you can just be working so many hours that you neglect yourself or you neglect your family. And, one of the things that was very humbling and heartbreaking, and at the same time really filled me with so much gratitude when we were in the hospital with Scott's surgery was being able to see him in such a beautiful place with our children. You know, our youngest baby now is 21, our son Jake is 25 in just a few days, and then Scotty is 33. And, you know, when we were sitting in the hospital, Scott said to me, if this is it, if God's taking me, I'm good. And I said, you know, what do you mean? And he said, you know, I'm in the emergency room. You're ready to go in for an emergency heart surgery. We're signing all these papers. If this is it, I just want you to know, thanks. And it was really a touching moment. And it was touching to see him as he came through the surgery. He was in intensive care for several weeks, a lot of complications. But every day he would be talking with our children. Our daughter was in Argentina. Our son was in Texas, Jacob, and then our other son, Scotty, was in Arizona. But we were Skyping every day, and they said, Mom, do you want me to come? And I said, don't come. There's nothing you can do. We're sitting in intensive care. But thank God for technology, right? Because we have been so blessed through our businesses and through a lot of good work in personal development, we've really been able to create a family that's beyond anything I think that Scott and I could ever dream. I can't really speak for him, but I can share that with you, that he is as well as he can be right now. And the greatest gift for us has been really about having the means to be able to take care of our children, to give them an education, to be able to travel with them. And I really want that for you. Whatever your version of that dream is, I think that building a business is one of the greatest gifts that we can have. And we live in a country in the United States where we have access. I know we have folks tuning in from Sweden and from England and from Australia, and I thank you so much for joining us. And at the same time, we as entrepreneurs, I feel like we have an obligation to not only take care of ourselves and our family, but to give back with our work. And, being able to do this is the greatest gift. So thank you for checking in tonight. And I'm just going to share with you a little bit kind of about my why, what I've messed up, in the hopes that will help you so that your journey can be a little faster and a little easier. Now, I'd say this piece about it's not about being realistic, meaning that there's pragmatic stuff. I mean, I'm the first person to really support you in following your revenue generating activities in your business, to really focus on the dollars and cents. And so I really want to be able to support you in not only building a Rockstar team so you can scale your business, but building it in a way that the team pays for itself, which means for a lot of you, this is still a someday conversation. Someday I'm going to get there. And I want you to really look at, this is one of those things that I promise you, after being in business for almost 30 years, if I could have done this quicker, if I could have done this a little sooner in my business, in each of my companies, the acceleration in the business happens so much faster. So please don't sit back and get analytical about it and analyze all the reasons it's not going to work. Just join me in the adventure and let us support you. We have an amazing community of leaders. Let us support you while you're stretching and getting beyond what feels comfortable for you. And what's on the other side of that is this opportunity to be really free. And, we host an event each year. It's our only co-ed event. We host 2 live events each year as fundraisers for women. And then we host a co-ed event called the Path to Freedom. All of our events are fundraisers. But what happens is when you're raising funds for great causes, you get to play with them. This is a picture of me in the jungle down in the Amazon and the rainforest in my bikini. Luckily, you can't see below my neck. But, this freedom to go and travel and be with causes that you care about and be with people that you love, to me, I think that this is really what life's all about. And, building a team is worth getting handled so that you can have the same freedom and get out of overwhelm in your business. So what I believe about you and what I know to be true about most of the people that I speak to when I'm speaking to audiences or to people that are coming to our own community is that you have a bigger calling. Something is calling you to play a bigger game, and it's not always easy. In fact, far from easy. And for whatever reason, we're just wired that way. I just want to say to you, you're not alone in this adventure. I feel you, I get it. And most of the people around us think we're a little crazy. But if you can get this stuff handled, if you can really allow yourself to receive, one of the greatest gifts I received was my friend Star Ladin saying to me, Laura, do you know that receiving is a form of giving? There's something in someone trying to give to you a gift not pushing it away, not being like, oh no, thanks, I've got it, but really saying, okay, I know that I can do better if I'm allowing myself to receive support, So this is not a lone wolf conversation. This is about how you can receive support here first, and then in turn, receive support from your own team so that you can really scale and make a difference with your work. So again, this work is for you. If you want something more with your life, if you want something more with your work, and you're interested in trying to make a difference with your work, reach more people, get out and create impact, this is what this work is all about for you. So you're in the right place. If you know you've been having a calling, you know that this is your time. And tonight I'm going to share with you just really, again, how do you know it's time to hire somebody? What are the steps that you need to take? This is a two-part class, so we can all kind of take a break in between, come back if you're able to. And if you come back to the second part of the class, I'll give you the exact steps of my Rockstar hiring formula. We broke it into two pieces because there's a lot more than just step 1, step 2, step 3. Now, don't be too cool for school. Stay with me on this, because a lot of what I'm going to teach you in this first class is groundwork that's fundamental. And you know the adage in the Bible about building your house on the sand versus building your house on the rock. You need these pieces I'm going to share with you tonight. I'm going to go over you kind of like the 3 places where I see business owners get stuck, where their hiring process, even if they have a great process, it doesn't work if we don't get these first foundational pieces handled. So stay with me tonight. And what I'm going to cover with you is really, this is targeted to the biggest mistake business owners make, because they tend to get overwhelmed. They can tend to get like, there's too many pieces moving, there's too many things to do. And what ends up happening is that you don't get results. So I want to give you the kind of like how to get out of that mistake, how to get in the right mindset and what you want to do. And then, I really want to share with you also, there's a lot of people out there in the world. I mean, you guys know, if you've come through social media to be with me on this call, or you've come through our list of folks that are, friends that have been supporting the work that we're doing, there's a lot of noise out there about having a 6-figure business, having a 7-figure business. What I want to share with you tonight is that's not the secret to your success. Hang on for a second, I might have some water. Thanks, sorry about that. It's not all about the numbers. There's actually more to building a company. And, I want to talk to you about your mindset as a business owner and not just a self-employed person. Now, you might hear about that, but what I want you to really look at tonight are your actions. Where are the places you're getting stuck? Because there's kind of a fallacy that I see in the industry that if you just made more money, that you would be more successful. And I'm here to tell you that's not all that you need. You can actually make $1 million and spend $1.1 million, and you're still in the negative, right? So I really want to support you in looking at your business from the standpoint of what is sustainable recurring revenue. How do you scale a company? And scale is a word that a lot of entrepreneurs maybe are not familiar with. It's just, how do we actually take the systems that you need and put them in place so you can create greater impact and reach more people? When you reach more people and you provide more service, the dollars and cents are going to come in. And I have a whole other training to support you in it. Like, again, profitability. What's a sustainable company? A sustainable company needs more than just revenue. It needs profit, it needs systems, it needs structures. And to me, team is the place that I see 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs get stuck, right? When you first get into business, you're like, how do I make money? Who am I here to serve? Once we get that piece handled, then people start generating revenue, but if they're not profitable, they're not sustainable. And when they start getting really clear about their numbers, then the scale can't happen without team. You're always going to hit a ceiling. I'm not trying to limit you, but you're going to hit a ceiling at some point where you just can't reach any more people unless you build a team. So I also want to share with you tonight the most important question to ask when you're facing a challenging question or challenging task. This is $1 million distinction. I promise you, probably a multi-million-dollar distinction. And then really the promise of this webinar, this part 1 of this masterclass, is how to know when it's time to hire. Like, how do you actually know that it's time? And at the end, again, I'm going to invite you to have some conversation with me. I won't be able to get to everybody right away, so I apologize in advance. But we have great systems and we have an amazing team, and everybody in our community and everybody in our team really shares the core values of service first. And we know that giving causes growing. We know that through supporting each other, we can all grow our business for purpose. So, I'm going to give you an easy way for you to get on a phone call with me. And if you'll give me some peace and some room around, not peace, but some space around scheduling, We're getting ready to host our third and final fundraiser of the year. As I said, we host 3 live events each year. Our co-ed event is coming up, The Path to Freedom, where we teach you about sustainable business, scaling your business, and then also your exit strategies, kind of your next steps in life if you are looking at that in your business. So my schedule is pretty nutty for a little bit, but then I have lots of space towards the end of this year, and it would be my pleasure and my honor to really help you in any way that I can. So the big thinking mistake is about, kind of the piece around how am I going to do this, right? This idea of being a self-employed person, that you have to wear every hat. And the bigger mindset shift that I want to support you in is, as a business owner, if I could get everybody to really be thinking about starting their business from the place of an exit strategy, right? Like, we fall in love with our companies. We're super excited about being there. We think that we're the only ones that can do it, and we get stuck, right? We can't scale. We can't move forward. I don't want you to think that money is the answer. There's more to it, right? I talked to you a little bit about that. We need to have profitability, and we need to have systems. And I've been trying really now for about 5 years to make systems sexy. And they're not sexy when you're brand new in business, but as soon as you start actually getting your machine rolling, you start to realize that it's not just about revenue. It's about so much more. So I want you to really look at, in your own business, is there any place that you're hiding from the truth? And what I mean by that is there any place that you know that you are a little addicted to struggling? So I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or have you jump off because I've offended you, but it tends to be a little bit of what I would see as a human condition. We kind of get addicted to the struggle. We get addicted to being so busy in our business that we're not moving forward. And if that's happening for you, it's something that, you're in the right place tonight. You're in the right place to take a look at, like, how it could be different. I promise you, it doesn't have to be so hard, but it does take what I call the short hurt, which is doing what you're doing right now and slowing down and really paying attention to where you need to focus. And I promise you, everything I'm sharing with you, not only have we been doing it again and again in other businesses, but we're right in it right now with you in scaling our own team and our leadership company. When I started Legacy Leaders Global, we started out with Powered with Passion, and then Passion, Purpose, and Profits. And people kept saying, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I didn't know what it was. We really had years of kind of trying to hone what it was, right? I think that's kind of the first step for a lot of businesses. But then when we started getting in the momentum of what we were doing, I just kept hearing in my prayers and my meditations that this work was around philanthropy. It was around legacy. And it was really around empowering women specifically. Not that we don't love our men. That's why we have a co-ed event each year. But really, women stepping into their leadership and the special men in the world that are helping us do that. None of us does it alone. And when we're struggling and we feel like somehow there's some valor in that, I think you're hiding from the truth of your bigger purpose. And I'd love to support you in stepping out of that and stepping out of anything that you might be avoiding. When you want to get clear about when it's the time to hire and how to hire people, there's some things you might want to look at. And it's not uncommon for business owners to end up working 12 hours a day and feel, again, that like somehow they're making progress, but they're not. They're getting stuck. There are things in their business that are not getting done. There are things that they're avoiding. There are things they're procrastinating on. And what ends up happening is they end up feeling trapped. So if you're feeling that way, it's time to really get focused on what are the important actions and understand that it's not your fault. We all do the best we can with what we know, but we only know what we know, right? So thank you for coming tonight and actually paying attention to learning something different, learning about what could be your next steps that could get you to the next level. And let's stop hiding and let's stop avoiding what's not working and start working together to move it forward, right? It's not your fault. You're doing the best you can, but you do have to do things differently. And again, I don't mean to be redundant. You probably have heard this a million times, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get a different result. It's time for you to really look at, how do I do things differently? And please don't let this webinar just be one more thing that you listen to and then don't take action. I'm going to give you really specific steps, and I want you to get in action with them. And then I want you to receive and ask for some help. Let us help you and take some responsibility without you feeling bad, without blaming yourself about it. Take some responsibility that you can do things differently. And usually it has to happen if you're willing to step into your power with allowing yourself to receive support. I can't go over this enough and enough. We probably should have slide that just says receive, receive. But I can tell you again, this is no valor in struggling. I want you to own your power, be supported, and understand that I'm speaking to you from lots of experience of my own, lots of experience from our leaders. And what I find again is if we're having the same conversation over and over again, I have a pretty good sense that there's a handful of humans on the planet that are struggling with it, not just us. And I've been practicing. I've been practicing messing this stuff up. I married into a family business when I was 23. This is a picture of me dressed as a wench, if you're watching the slides. And people would say to me, do you feel like, what do you do for a living? And my answer then, don't you just hate elevator pitches? Back then, I wasn't in this world, but, so maybe it was called different. But you go out and you meet people and they say, like, what do you do? And I'd say, I'm a dishwasher. And they'd be like, you're really cute. You don't look like a dishwasher. I'm like, well, today the dishwasher didn't show up, so I'm washing dishes, right? Tomorrow I'm waitressing. Next week I might be the cashier. I'm bartending. I'm also the accountant and the bookkeeper. So if you guys are in that position with your business where you're wearing all the hats, it's very common. And again, please don't make yourself wrong about it, but understand that I have done a lot of the mistakes that I'm going to share with you tonight. And that's how we all learn. And one of the best ways I know to accelerate our success is to get some education so you don't have to do it the hard way. And, I was so busy with my business. It was great. And I had, we were being successful and growing, but there was always a place of like being exhausted and overwhelmed. And when I had my children, I knew that wasn't the way I wanted it to be. And, fast forward, I can tell you that in a sad note, my first husband and I were really amazing business partners, and we made these beautiful babies, but we weren't great at being life partners outside of the business. So once we sold that business, we just found that we were struggling a lot, and we did marriage counseling. And I just, I don't want to make this webinar about that. That's not really what it's about. But, I got divorced, and I was really embarrassed, and I was really mortified because I wanted to be a mom more than anything, and I wanted to be a good mom. And the last thing I wanted to do is to get a divorce and have it be hard for my kids. So I knew that I had to do things differently the next time I had a business, and that I had to have a partner who really could step into it with me in a new way. And, luckily, fast forward, I met Scott, and we've had an amazing, almost 18 years together. And we don't know how much longer we'll get together. But I think, again, raising our family in a way where our businesses supported us instead of us always working and supporting our business has provided us kind of an amazing life, just really an amazing life. And the work that I'm able to do today with our live events as fundraisers and with the work that we're doing with women empowerment, it's good stuff, you guys. And I promise you that if your heart is calling you and you've got something going on that it can be bigger and it can be easier, team is the secret. So here's Mr. Gisborne with Oliver, our sweet golden retriever who recently passed, actually. But we owned the Art of Wine. It was one of our businesses from 2005 to 2014. And Scott was able to take Oliver to work with him every day. And when he wasn't working, he worked about 20 hours a week in that store. But when he wasn't working, we had an amazing Rockstar team that ran that business for us. So I think the reason I'm sharing this with you is that when you have a brick and mortar business, when you have a 7-day-a-week business where you have rent and overhead and insurance, employees and staff, it's a really a different world than how most of us work today, where we work online from the comfort of our own home. But it's a great training ground because when you've got, like our base need in that business was about $30,000 a month. That wasn't our profit. That was like, we needed that to like keep the doors open. So, it's a good training ground. So again, kind of the experience of where we're coming from, the most employees we've ever had at one time is 28, which is a lot of humans to feel responsible for. But the flip side of that is as you're building teams, one of the greatest gifts is that you get to employ people, right? You get to be able to provide a livelihood, not only for your own family, but for the families of others. And that's a pretty sweet thing. So there's the tasting room. So when, we got into the wine business, the real estate business, and our designer clothing boutique, we built businesses, not just another job, right? A lot of us build a job instead of building a business. And that's what I want to be able to share with you. So there's my sweet love now. He's getting a little stronger every day. He's still in this picture looking pretty frail after he'd come out of the hospital, but Every day is getting stronger, and we are just, again, super grateful. Okay, so let's get back to you. Is it time for you to hire? That's the big question, right? This masterclass is to really know, like, how to know it's time, how to have them pay for themselves. In the next part of the class, we're going to go into like what are the steps for actually hiring. So don't skip ahead, because you got to know when. Otherwise, you'll go into the process of hiring and it won't be time, and you might make a boo-boo, and it could be expensive, and I don't want that for you. All right, so the warning signs that things are not working is that you've got a few things going on. So let me just kind of go over this piece with you. If you know that you are not getting things done, if you know that you are overwhelmed and tired, if you know that your health is starting to break down, if you know that your relationships are not good, this is not rocket science. Pretty good indicator that it's time for you to shift gears and do something different, right? These are the signs in my world that you need to make a change. And, this is kind of the sad, but, I would say, maybe it's not sad, maybe it's a great truth. The great truth is this: as you grow in your business and as you scale, and I can say this to you again after 30 years in business, almost 30 years, 28 years in business, and 9 different companies. It's a new level, new devil, right? Like, so you get to a place where you have a certain level of freedom and ease, and then you get to choose, is there a new opportunity for development? Is there a new opportunity for expansion? But the first warning sign and the first hiring sign in my mind is that things are not being done and that you are feeling overwhelmed, right? So what this really means is that it's time for you to take action, not to sit around and think about it anymore and stay in the struggle. Nothing is going to get accomplished if you keep struggling. So burnout is a bad choice. This says burnout equals bad choices, which is true, and burnout itself is a bad choice. And again, you have the freedom to choose differently. And I think that most of you, if you're listening to this and this is kind of a new conversation for you, you might need a little love and support. So please don't stay struggling. Reach out at the end of this call and set up a time for you and I to have a conversation, because there is an alternative. It doesn't have to be so hard. So if you're in burnout, basically what's happening is you're not letting your business do its job. And what do I mean by that? We get the idea that somehow we're supposed to work in our business, and the purpose of a business is for it to support you. The government allows us in all kinds of countries, not just in the United States, to recognize the business as a separate entity, as its own like living being, because it does provide jobs, it does provide opportunities. And when you're doing your job well, and when you're allowing yourself to be supported, your business has the job of supporting you, not the other way around. So let me just say that again, not to beat a dead horse here, but your business's job is to support you. It is not your job to support your business. Somehow we got this mixed up, and I want to remind you that this is an important place to get clear. Your business is here to support you, not the other way around. So notice your reaction to that. Is that something that seems a little strange to you? I've repeated it a couple of times. If it's a place that you're feeling stuck, I want you again to receive some support about how it can be different, and know that it doesn't have to be so hard, and we're here to help, right? We have these live events. Our 3 live events each year are masterminds. We ask that every person who attends makes the donation of their choice. Again, we know that giving causes growing. If I can get you into a room with us and we can give you free training, I know that you can do better in your life and your business. So don't feel stuck. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, it might be too good to be true. But also notice that your business is here to support you. Might create some kind of reaction in your body. So this is one of the questions. Remember, I gave you the kind of the hints of like what we're going to cover tonight. And I said, there's this question that I want you to really get, that I call $1 million question, or maybe a multi-million-dollar question. Most of us as business owners are kind of stuck in a paradigm which says, how do I get this done? So if you're the person who's thought that, how do I get this done? Chances are something is off. You're not thinking about yourself as a business owner. You're thinking about yourself as a self-employed person. So you may not be the waitress and the cashier and the dishwasher like I was, but you're also thinking like somehow you're responsible for running the business instead of the business providing a living for you and its community and its team. So the new question I want you to adopt for yourself, and write this one down if you're taking notes, is who can help me get this done? Instead of how do I get this done, Who can help me get this done? I remember hearing this on stage. Adam, gosh, I'm sorry, Adam, I can't remember your last name right now, was giving a talk, and I just was like, boom, when I heard this, it was a game changer. And I just said, this is really, this is one of those distinctions. Who can help me get this done? If you operate your business as a business owner from this paradigm, I promise you, things will start to shift for you very quickly. And, what happens if you're not allowing yourself to receive support, if you're not allowing yourself to be in a place where somebody else can do the things that you're not supposed to be doing, you start getting into overwhelm. And untreated overwhelm always becomes burnout. And burnout means you're not creative. You had that situation where you just are so tired, you can't be creative. Your creativity is where your money lies, is where your freedom lies. You were drawn to be an entrepreneur because you're a creative visionary. And most of us as creative visionaries are not wired for systems. So we get into overwhelm because we're not doing the right jobs, and building the team is the secret to getting out of that. So you need to ask a new question, which are, a few new questions actually, instead of how do I get this done? Who can help me? I don't want you to jump into how, like the next steps of like, oh, who's going to pay for this? I want you to stay right here and just, if money were not the object, some of the questions you want you to be asking yourself is, who do I already know who could possibly help me? Chances are, humans, right? If you're on Facebook, you have friends, you might even put on your Facebook post, this is something that I'm struggling with. I need some help. You'd be amazed at who knows who, right? The people but I know some people. And then like my friend Justin knows some people, and my friend Adam knows some people, and my friend Dorsey knows some people. You just want to actually put that out there. Who can possibly help me with this? And the next question is, if you are asking the question and nothing comes to mind personally, who could help you? Who could help you find this? And a lot of times we have friends who, again, have amazing resources, but if we don't ask, how can we expect them to know to help us? So this is a way that you need to really, again, look at your relationships. This is a huge capital in your business, is the relationships. And, not to digress about this, but I want you to be clear about where you're spending your time. When we get into training folks about revenue generating activities, the biggest challenge I see is that entrepreneurs are not spending their time wisely. So if you're wearing all the hats in your business, I promise you, you're not staying in your unique area of brilliance. You're not staying in your genius zone, and it's costing you money versus bringing team members on who not only pay for themselves, but also generate money for your company by doing their area of genius, right? So looking for help, asking the right questions is a big question. It's a big step in the right direction. So another mistake that I see way too many entrepreneurs making is that they just get stuck because they're worried about the money. Instead of being creative and thinking about, okay, if money were not the issue, how would I find a solution to the problem? I promise you, a lot of the times when we do this exercise with folks about like where they'd be spending their time, what they'd be doing with their time, if money was not an issue, most everything that they'd be doing is not related to money. We give away our power to money. It's not the context of this conversation, but it's where I see you guys get stuck again and again, and where I get stuck again and again. So when we actually take that question out, not how am I going to pay for it, but who can help me with this, or who could help me find somebody with this, this starts opening up the creativity. It starts opening up the possibilities that we didn't know. And, you've got to give yourself a break about receiving. You've got to really start receiving, because otherwise you're just depleting yourself. And chances are, if you're not a good receiver in business, you may not be a good receiver in other places. And the slides I showed you in the beginning of this call around my family and my husband, I promise you, you guys, there's no rush to the finish line. When it's time, and it's been very present for us this year, when it's time, this is it. You want to really have known that you spent the time doing the things that you love with the people that you love, doing the right activities in the right directions. And usually when we say we want to do something and we're not getting the results that we want, the real problem is actually underneath the problem. So it may look like, oh, I can't get this done because I have this problem or that problem. I can't get this done because I don't have time, or I can't get this done because I don't have money, or I can't get this done because I don't have team. What's underneath, like an iceberg, is this receiving piece. So I don't want to go into it too much more, because I want to get to the next part of the class with you and really give you the tools that you need for the hiring process. But I do want you to really look at owning that what you think is the problem a lot of times is not the problem. The problem that's underneath is this receiving piece, allowing yourself to be supported, allowing yourself to scale. And if you really have a calling, this isn't a competition. This isn't, my friend Jennifer always says, there's no enlightenment Olympics. This isn't about you get there someday and then you win a trophy. This is more about when you are looking at how do you serve the people you're here to serve, it requires you to understand that your mission is never about you. It's about others. So being a good receiver, you don't be a good receiver for yourself. You be a good receiver so that you can help the people who don't have access to resources. You can help the clients that are here in the world that really need your own special brand of unique brilliance. So please don't be stingy with your gifts. Allow yourself to be supported so that we can help you get out in the world, because the cost of not hiring means that you're not reaching the people you're here to reach. And that's a big problem, right? There are people in the world who are struggling because they need a solution and you have the solution, but because you're worried about how am I going to pay for this or how am I going to do it instead of who can help me, is costing other people in the world, and they're struggling, and they don't need to struggle, because if we could get you in action, allow yourself to be supported, you could help a lot more people. All right, so let's just talk about kind of the low risk hiring process. I'm going to give you the actual hiring formula that we use in the part 2 of this class, but let me give you a couple of quick steps right now so you can kind of get the idea, like some of the things, if you're struggling financially, you're scared about how do I hire or when do I hire, let me give you a couple of ideas about some of the things that we've done that have worked like a charm for us again and again and again. And there's never been a better time to hire, right? Because today you don't have to have a business that's a brick and mortar business. You don't have to necessarily have a storefront or own an office building. I mean, you can when you start scaling, but for most of us, we're able to run really successful businesses from the comfort of our home. And because the world is flat, right? Thank you, Mr. Friedman. We are able to hire people on Fiverr and Upwork and really be able to access folks that live all over the world at really inexpensive investments. The other piece that I love about hiring today is that you can actually hire people for specifically what you need them for, versus the old days when we would actually have to hire somebody for 40 hours a week and have them sit there, whether they were working or not, just because that's how hiring was done, right? So one of the things I want you to think about is when you're hiring, one of the most powerful distinctions is that we tend to hire 2 people at one time. And what I mean by that is we'll set up a project, we'll set up something that we want to do and hire somebody for $50, $100, $200, $1,000, depending on the size of the project and the scale. And we'll give them an opportunity to try out for us to see if they're going to be good, right? That's really fun. We can say, okay, this is the project that we need. And, we do a lot of stuff on the internet. So we'll tend to hire folks, we'll tend to hire 2 people at once. And let's just say we use Infusionsoft. So we're going to hire 2 people that are savvy in Infusionsoft, experienced, certified, they know what they're doing. And we'll give each of them a project. It might be a marketing project, might be a campaign, and see how they do with a set dollar amount, right? It can be something like creating lead pages. It can be something, again, campaign related. I'm just using these as examples. It could be something that we're setting up for our customers inside our customer hub. But we give them a task and we give them a chance to try out for a set dollar amount. Now, the reason that we hire 2 people at once, I know it sounds counterintuitive to you, but just hang on for a second and be with me on this one. When you hire 2 people at once, what you find is that one of them will rise to the top, right? I'm going to give you my whole hiring process and how we vet people and that whole thing in the next part of this class. But for right now, just understand that if let's just say you have 2 people you hire for $100 each, what we find is that one of them always rises to the top and has exceptional congruency with our company's culture. The other one will have things like the dog died, my baby got sick, like stuff happens, but we're not at the mercy of that person, right? If we only hire one person at a time and they have a personal breakdown, because life happens and humans are humans, we're not stuck. Our project is not on hold. We can still move forward. Right? So by hiring 2 people at once, not only do we give them a chance to kind of accelerate, we also get a chance to be covered so that if one doesn't work out, we haven't spent a ton of money investing in training and going deep with somebody. And we kind of see who's going to do what, right? And by being able to hire from low cost sources where we can hire people by a project, we use Upwork and Fiverr a lot. And don't think that Fiverr.com, that everything on there is $5. You can get amazing things done for $100 or $200. What we find is that there's great talent in the world. A lot of these folks are really good at technology, at graphics, at creativity, but they're not always great at marketing themselves. So what we do by using that service is bring them on for a project, get a chance to try them out, see how they do, see how we work. And if it works well, then we can deepen our relationship and do, what I'm going to teach you about in the second part of this class. But it gives us a chance to really get to know each other. And it gives them an opportunity to, most of the people that are out there, they don't want to just do a $5 job. They want to actually earn the opportunity to work. And, it really feels good for us to be able to hire people from all over and, scale our company and at the same time be able to make a difference for them. So I think that that's enough for this first level of how do you know it's time to hire, just to kind of recap some of the struggles that you're going over, if you're in overwhelm, how to do this in a way that's not going to break the bank, how to do it in a way that's actually, again, just opening up possibility for you. And we're going to take a short break, but, I just want to reiterate, if I may, when I started being asked to get out and speak and lead and being asked to write a book, wasn't anything that I ever aspired to do. I grew up in a very, a very tough childhood. It was a lot of violence and a lot of drama. And I really never thought that I would be able to live the life that I live today. And it really is my pleasure to be able to give back because I have been blessed. I've been blessed through business. I've been blessed through a lot of personal development, but I've been blessed to build businesses that run with amazing teams. And I want each and every one of you who has a mission to make a difference with your work to have the same type of financial success and time freedom that we've been able to experience as a family. Because by doing that, by helping you, I actually get to step into the bigger purpose and the bigger mission of my work, which is really to heal cycles of poverty on the planet with our work. We're in a place financially where it's not that we don't struggle, it's not that we don't have our good times and bad times, just like every other family, but we really have a financial sufficiency that I never thought that I would be reaching at age 51. And, it makes me feel great to be able to see you be successful, because if we can help your family be financially successful and have some kind of independence, then you can join me in this place of reallocating resources. At this point in time, there's no lack of water on the planet. There's no lack of food on the planet. It's been that way for a while. As technology is increasing, as we have all kinds of improvements and advancements in artificial intelligence, the world is changing probably at the speed of light, maybe even faster. I don't really know the technological term for that, but it's happening very quickly. And I know that each of us as humans that are called to be a part of the shift and a part of the change can really make a greater impact and a difference if we do it together. So if there's a way that I can help you, it's my pleasure to do that. The way that you would set up a telephone call with me is to go to the URL pathtofreedomcall.com. That's pathtofreedomcall.com. You go to pathtofreedomcall.com. I'll ask you to just answer a couple of quick questions. Those answers come directly to me. They actually do not go to my team. They go directly to me. We're not such a big organization that I can't talk to you personally, thank goodness. I travel a lot. My work has me speaking to audiences a lot, but it really is my deepest honor and privilege to be able to support you one-on-one. And if you want to jump on a call with me personally, that's the way to do it. You just go to pathtofreedomcall.com. Let me know how to get back in touch with you, what it is that you're struggling with, maybe some of the things you've tried in the past. Don't write me a book because I have a short attention span like most entrepreneurs, but send me a couple of quick notes there and let me know how I can support you. And then my team will be in touch with a link, or I'll just send a link back out to you. I'll let them know that I want to chat with you if it's a good match, and we can find a time to get on the calendar. It's my pleasure to do that. And, and then we'll talk about what you have going on and how I can help you. And if you've got some time tonight to stay on, I'm going to sign off on this particular call because that's kind of part one of a two-part class. We can take a quick break. Everybody can go potty, get something to eat if you're on dinner time like I am. And then we'll come back and I'll give you the second part of the class. And the second part of this class is the exact steps that we take in hiring. It's our 7-step formula. Everybody's got to have a formula for this stuff, right? You might have gotten the formula as a download if you opted in through the lead pages. And if you didn't get it for any reason, again, when you reach out to me at pathtofreedomcall.com, let me know that you didn't receive it, and let me know how I can help you with getting that. We'll make sure you get the graphic. But basically, we're just going to go through exactly the steps that we use to hire. It doesn't have to take a long time. But again, it's my pleasure to answer your questions for you. We didn't open this up for Q&A tonight because it really can get to be hours and hours, and I really wanted to get the content to you. So if you'd like to chat with me, it'd be my pleasure to chat with you. So please go to pathtofreedomcall.com and let's get on a phone call and let me know what you're up to. And those of you that are going to stay on tonight for part 2 of the class, we're going to wrap this one up. Log back in using the link that we sent you in the email when you opted into the class, and I will look forward to being with you there and with giving you our 7-step formula. All right, I look forward to seeing you in a little bit, and until then, talk to you then.